welcome to Leon's Corner. And today we are kicking off a topic that's both powerful and deeply personal, finding the youth voice and discovering how young people share their identities, their stories, and the world around them. And in this episode, we also dive deeper into the story Beyond the Bell, your podcast too. So yeah, choose this episode today. Someone has been passionately working with young people and giving them the tools, the space, or the entire confidence to express themselves. So could you please introduce a little bit about yourself?
So hi everybody, my name is Maiwand. I'm a TEDx speaker. I just turned 18 years old. And yeah, so I do have a podcast. It's called Beyond the Bell. I'm a youth ambassador. I'm a keynote speaker. And I'm excited to be here today with these two amazing people.
Okay,
So
that's
it's very
yeah,
nice.
that's very nice to see you here. So let's turn to part one, finding your voice at a young age. So I am curious, when did you first realize that you had something worth showing with the world, with the whole teenagers?
Mm-hmm. Mm. So that's actually a hard question. I think I don't know. So I guess I realized that I had something worth sharing with the world when I first started doing public speaking, right? Um, a lot of times we see right now public speaking is very not famous at all. It's very like it's really on the base, right? Like, no one really cares about it and it's not really that popular, right? So I just said, well, okay, well, if public speaking is not popular, then who is going to make it popular, or who's going to try to make it popular, right? And I looked around and I looked at all the people that could have made it popular, and I realized that there's no point in waiting for other people to try to make something popular. There's a point in trying to make it yourself, right? Try to do it yourself. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make public speaking as popular as possible. I'm trying to go into keynote speaking. And that's why all these things are falling into place. That's why I'm trying to be a keynote speaker. And that's why I'm trying to help the youth as well, right? And not just for public speaking, just for everything, to understand that they have potential, to understand that they are truly better than they think they are. Um, and I just think that there is this something, I guess you could say, that's in me that knows, that understands what will happen, and people could kind of say whatever they want to say, or in times of stress or in times of anger, say, oh, this, but I know what the reality is going to be, and truly the reality will be a good one for everybody involved for public speaking. And I'm just glad that every single day I get to wake up and make people understand that public speaking is a very good thing and that they have a lot of potential inside of them. So I think that is how I first found it out.
Yeah, that's really amazing. So it seems like you are really passionate about public speaking. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm passionate about it. I think that it's a very good thing, and I would love to see it rise.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, Lily, it's your turn.
Okay, so correct is sometimes, yeah, something we don't always see in young people. So what gave you the confidence or courage to step onto the TED stage at such a young age?
That's a great question, and it's a question that a lot of people, want to know, right? People want to have a TED Talk and they want to do all these things, but I think once it comes down to it, it really all comes down to the future, because in the future, let's just say Maiwand 5 years from now would ask, for example, if I was too scared to do it, they would ask me right now, and they would say, well, okay, well, why didn't you do it? You were sitting there, you had the opportunity, but you didn't do it because of fear or because of some other characteristic and that left you with an opportunity that you could have done that you didn't do, right? And I think honestly, just meaning it to other people, right? Just meaning it to other people and trying to make the world a better place and, doing all these things like that. So I think it wasn't necessarily courage. It was just what needed to be done at that moment to progress the mission and to progress the kind of youth development for keynote speaking and all these other things, right? So I really just focused on the youth, focused on the mission, and the confidence came along with it.
Okay, that's an amazing point. And for now, we are moving on to part 2, the power of one voice and story beyond the bell, your podcast. So from your experience as a youth ambassador, what is the most powerful thing a young person can do to create a real impact in today's life?
Once again, that's a very good question. And there's really two answers that I can give to this. The first one is to kind of do what everybody is doing, but do it in a different way, right? So you see all these keynote speakers, and they're trying to, I guess, spread a message, right? But if, for example, a kid or a child sees a keynote speaker that's a little bit younger, that's maybe around the same age as them, I feel that they will resonate with them more, right? Because it's a person that's the same age as them trying to talk to them, right? So just imagine if someone is struggling, right? I'm sure, like, if someone is struggling and they see someone that is the same age as them, right? And asking them to, don't do this, or be okay with this, or learn about this, I'm sure that it will resonate with them more because they're, around the same age. But, at the end of the day, I would say either do that or find something new that that everybody should follow and do it kind of obsessively, right? At the end of the day, the game of youth development or the game of youth, like all these, youth organizations, even this podcast, you have to have some type of love for it, right? And you have to have some type of analysis for it and deciding that, okay, well, if I do this, then what's going to come out of it? So you have to find your reason. If I do this, what's going to happen? If I don't do this, what's going to happen? What could the world be like if I actually take action and actually do it, Because we look at all these great inventors today, like, we have this telephone right here, right? If the owner or the builder of the telephone did not take the action, we would not have had it. So in my mind, I understand very clearly that action taken is the world changed, right? It's not just for me, it's the world changed and it's my life changed. And no matter what anybody says at any point of time, you can't listen to them. You have to have your own belief and you have to be completely obsessed with the world that can happen if you take that action. So just understand that one step and one thought that is in your mind today can correlate to a lot of good things for you and to a lot of other people. So do not fall into regret. Just take action and do whatever you can to make your dreams a reality, for sure.
Okay, that's such an intriguing and amazing points. Very detailed answers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
so now let's talk about the project that have shaped so much of your impact. So when you start Beyond the Bell, what's the biggest gap you feel was missing in your education or conversation about the student success?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? Like, say it again, sorry.
Okay, I mean, like, when you started Beyond the Bell, what was the biggest gap you feel was missing in your education or conversation about student success?
Okay, perfect question. Yeah. I think that what a lot of students were missing, or even the people that I talked to, they did not have the true belief of the potential that they had inside of them, right? Because today, I feel everything is very limited, right? People are limited. They're limited based off of the restrictions that their parents put in them, for example, that their friends put in them, right? And they don't really know the potential that's truly inside of them, right? But I think that, all this should change, because a lot of times people advocate for youth, but a lot of times what they don't do is they don't advocate for innovators, right? Because in this world you have a choice. You either become an imitator or you become an innovator, right? The innovators are the one where you walk down the street and you see what they've innovated. The innovators are the one where you search them up on Google and their name pops up in grand variety, right? And being an imitator is not a bad thing. But being an imitator when you are destined to be an innovator, then that's a bad thing, right? So fulfilling your potential and your destiny, even when you collaborate it with university or with anything else like that, I think that people just have to have extremely high hopes of themselves and have to always be in delusion, right? Also, another thing, people always want to go for what is realistic, right? So I'm sure that Annie and Lily, right, are innovators, right, because they started this podcast and all that, right? But people always want to go for what is realistic, have a backup plan, and all those things are good. But at the end of the day, the greatest innovators of our time did not do what is realistic. They changed the world. So if you can change the world and still be alive while you're doing it, then that's a pretty good thing to do. And, right now I'm working on some stuff. I'm gonna have to get some stuff together in the process of doing that to make sure that does not fall early. But once again, the one thing that I could recommend to anybody that kind of, it also aligns with the podcast, and even what I would recommend to my guests of the podcast, is just to understand that the world has nothing right now, and you are in constant competition with the world. What will you place in the world, and will the world let you place it, right? So if you could make your mark on it, you will have a very good life, and a life where you are free of everything, and everything that you do is by choice. So become an innovator, not an imitator. That's what I would say.
Okay, that's an insightful thing. Yeah. So another question, like becoming the top of your craft is a key theme in your show. So how did that idea become the foundation of the podcast?
I think I kind of just wanted to create what was missing, create what was missing in the world. A lot of times I see podcasts and they're very adept to various things, but the one thing that they're not adept to is they're not adept to motivation. I see a lot of podcasts talking about money or talking about sports, but the problem with fantasizing about money is you have to find a way to get there. And I believe that there is no better feeling than making money through what you love and innovating and making money while you're doing it. But I also understand that money is not the end all be all, money is not going to categorize anything. So the one thing that my mission was to make this podcast was to understand that every single person has a fire inside of them, and they have to make things work. At the end of the day, not everybody could sit there and be a doctor or an engineer. These things are very, very important, very important. But someone has to step up and do something different. Someone has to step up and do something different, because we will all fall into the same category. Someone has to make the change in the world that they see in themselves and that they visualize and obsess over and think about 24/7. Because if that person doesn't do it, then no one will do it. And I felt that if I didn't create that podcast, no one would create that podcast, right? And one more thing that I can link to that is just the act of famous people. Famous people at the end of the day are the same people as normal people, but they put themselves out there. They make content, or they act, or they film, and they make it seem like they're this sort of different people, and people fall in love with that. People fall in love with innovation. And that's something that I'm really striving for, to create change in the world, to innovate, to do all these things, and to do it all via public speaking, because I feel that if I do not do this now, these things will not come into fruition, and I will live a life which could have been easily changed if I took action right now. So I'm just gonna take everything slow, kind of understand where it's at, make some changes. But at the end of the day, the Beyond the Bell podcast was concretely found for the direct image of a fire burning inside of every single young person's heart, a flashlight inside of every single young person's soul. All they have to do is they have to light it up, and that is what the Beyond the Bell podcast is for.
Yeah, that's such a good one to know that you have a strong passion for creating something meaningful to help the youth. That's a good one. And yeah, let's turn to the next session, behind the TED Talk, what people don't see. So what is one thing about preparing for a TED Talk that most people would never expect?
Wow, that's actually a very good question. I think that it would be, it would just be the practice. It would really just be the practice. Trying to practice the TED Talk, trying to practice your script, trying to make sure that you don't forget it, or you don't fall, or you don't do anything like that. And I think that is one of the most important parts of a TED Talk, just making sure that none of these bad things happen. But at the end of the day, I think that I guess that is really the hardest part. Okay. So like I was saying, so basically for me, right, that was the hardest part. But I think that for me, it wasn't necessarily like that, because I want you guys to understand that I visualized it. Like, I obsessed over it before it happened. So the TED Talk, I would visualize myself being on the TED Talk red circle, right? I would visualize taking a picture and being on that TED Talk stage. And, it all came into reality for me. So it did not feel like anything for me. It just felt like I was doing what I had to do. It was not anything by chance or by fault. And honestly, that is what I think that a lot of young people should do. Visualize what they want to do. And I guess the hardest part was the script and memorizing it. Make sure that on that day, people don't, or you don't stumble or forget your script, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, that's such a wonderful point. And Lily, is your question?
Yeah, so I'm really curious about what's the moment behind the scene you doubted your message.
Yeah, I feel that is a very insightful question as well, because people want to know, right? Like, was there ever a point where you doubted your own message or your own passion, right? And to be honest, for me, I don't think that there was ever a moment. I think that when you are concretely obsessed, or when you concretely have a vision, no matter what anybody says, you will always fall to it. There's gonna always try to be haters. People that put you down, or do not believe in you. And all you have to do with that is just show them. Take action, show them, and they will understand. There have been countless times that people have hated on other people and have gone wrong. So I just think that when you are truly obsessed with your mission, or your passion, or your goal, or your life, and what you're trying to accomplish in it, I don't think that there can ever be a moment in time where you are not, I guess, do not have full self-belief, right? Because another important thing to add, Lily, is that if you yourself don't have self-belief, who's gonna have self-belief for you, right? Who's gonna do that for you? Everybody wants to know what they can do to get successful or to get famous. And the one thing that I can give to them is to just have self-belief. Self-belief is all you have at sometimes, right? No money, no fame, no help. Just self-belief. And with self-belief, if you stay true, no matter how many haters, no matter how many people doubting you, and you stay true to that analogy, you will succeed. So there is no point in worrying, that there is no point in getting anxious. Oh, will I succeed? Will these things happen? 100%, if you stay true, if you stay consistent, you will succeed 100%. And that's a complete fact. So there were times of struggle in that mission or in that message, but there was never a point in time where I stopped believing. I always believe in the message, and I will always continue to believe. So that is kind of how I feel about that, for sure.
Okay, that's amazing. So for now, we are moving on to part 4, balancing passion and academics. So, how do you balance being a speaker, a volunteer, and a biomedical science student without burning out?
I mean, I think that people need to kind of manage their time more effectively. Obviously, I'm working on this right now. Like it's gonna be the start of my second semester soon, and I have to work on these things, right? I have to not burn out. But I think that getting rid of the phone is a big issue, right? Not watching YouTube or TikTok. These things are all a waste of time, in my opinion. I mean, if you like it, you could, maybe spend 30 minutes to an hour a day on it after you're done all your schoolwork. But also just incorporating things inside of the school. So right now, I am in York University for biomedical sciences, and just incorporating a public speaking club, a public speaking club. Like we're gonna go and, do some things regarding to public speaking. So burning out, I think, is a very bad thing, or a very, hard part of not doing. But I guess just manage your time effectively and get the job done the absolute best way you can, and that is going to help you not burn out, for sure.
Yeah, that's a useful advice that you can manage the whole thing in a day. Okay, so another question is like, how do you envision the future of youth empowerment and digital mentorship in the next 5 or 10 years?
Okay. So that's a very good question. In the next 5 or 10 years, so let's see. So I'm 18. I'll be 23 in 5 years. I'll be 28 in 10 years. Okay. You know what? I just envision it as a place where public speaking is taken more seriously, where it's implemented more in schools, where it's done in more situations. Right now, it is not clear that public speaking is a subject in school or is in anything else in that way. To be honest, it's not really what I vision. I feel it is what will happen. It is what I will visualize and what will happen. So I visualize it, or I kind of obsess over it, or I guess I know over it, to a place where it's taken more seriously. It's in more schools. It's maybe even a subject in some schools. It's all across the world. And no matter what language you're in, no matter what type of person you are, you can always use the act of public speaking. So I think that it's always going to be there. And I think that in the next 5 to 10 years, I envision students learning about public speaking, learning about getting motivated, and trying to really have a balanced life, academics, public speaking, motivation, and everything like that. So that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, that's an insightful thing to know. And yeah, this is I think this is the end of the talk show today. And your story, your energy, like, have truly added something special to our episode today. So, is there a final message that could you give to our audience and our listeners?
Yeah, there is. I would just say that do not ever doubt yourself. Don't ever put yourself down. Your brain cannot decide or does not know when it is joking. So always lift yourself up, even when you are not in anything or in any clubs or in any activities, visualize that you're the best, because that's really all you have. If you yourself do not believe in you or are not proud of yourself, who's gonna be proud of you? Everybody is gonna try to externally hurt you through various ways. But they can never internally hurt you, because anything external is not strong enough. So just stay true to your own self, stay true to your internal self, stay motivated, stay disciplined, get the job done in whatever field you are doing, and you know what, do not regret. Because regret is a very bad thing. It will hurt you. And get the job done, become an innovator, make all your dreams come true. And one day you will wake up and all your dreams will come true. One day you will wake up and you will be sitting in the same seat or in the same house that you one day or envision, and you'll have all the crazy things and you'll have the nice career and you'll have the nice life. So I just think that visualize it today, understand it today, and one day you will have it tomorrow. And just one more thing I want to add kind of before we all go is that I think that visualization is so important because it acts upon a characteristic that you are actually the best, right? Because all the people that have visualized themselves becoming the best actually turned out to be the best. It's a crazy concept. Like, I'm sure you guys know who Muhammad Ali is, right? Like the boxer, right? Or Muhammad Ali, or all these people. He visualized himself becoming the best. Out of the millions of people that did boxing, he was the best, So no matter how many people are in the thing that you love, if you visualize yourself being the best, you will one day become the best. And you will completely change the sport or completely change everything that it stands for. So become an innovator, not an imitator. That is what I will say to your audience, your amazing audience at that, right?
Okay, yeah, that's just useful advice. I hope that our audience can relate to that in the future. Okay, yeah, thank you so much for having time with us today. And I
Just
will
one more
start
thing. You guys, so your audience can reach me on my Instagram, which is at the Public Speaking Guy 1. So just the Public Speaking Guy 1. Or if they want to, email me. I'll put the email in the chat. But it's also maiwand908@gmail.com.
Okay.
And that's basically it. So thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.